All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to forget everything you think you know about art, museums, galleries, priceless paintings. We're going to explore this really wild, kind of provocative idea that the ultimate masterpiece isn't something you hang on a wall. It's you.
And this whole thing, it all kind of sparks from this one single statement from the massively influential German artist Joseph Beuys. Back in a TV interview in 1983, he just drops this bombshell. The endgame for art isn't an object, it's a person. The whole point was for the human being to become the artwork.
But here's the twist. What if Beuys didn't go far enough? What if it's not about becoming art? What if you, right now, just by existing, already are a work of art? And that's really the big question we're going to dig into.
So to really wrap our heads around that, we've got to go back a bit. We need to look at where this powerful and maybe unfinished idea really started.
Beuys wasn't just pulling this out of thin air. This idea of the artist as the art was kind of bubbling up already. Way back in '61, you had Tim Ulrich, who literally called himself the first living artwork. Then Gilbert and George turned themselves into living sculptures. But what Beuys said in '83, that was different. See, he wasn't just talking about artists, he was talking about everybody.
And this is the key to understanding him. He came up with this thing called the extended concept of art. He basically said, look, creativity isn't just about stuff you can touch, like paint or clay. For him, a thought, a conversation, even an action that helps shape society, that could be a work of art too.
And he kind of split this into two big ideas. First, you've got private sculpture. Think of that as the inside job, the way you shape your own thoughts, your own feelings. Then you have social sculpture, and that's the outside job, how you use your creativity to actually make a mark on the world. And for Beuys, both of these were totally legitimate forms of art.
But here's the catch. For the most part, Beuys left this as a theory, a big what-if for the future. So now, let's meet the folks who decided to take that what-if and run with it. Really run with it, to its most extreme conclusion.
And that brings us to the Joblin Factory. They're an artist collective, and they see themselves as the ones carrying the torch for Beuys. But they've got a big but. They have a major criticism of him. They basically think he got cold feet and didn't follow his own idea all the way through.
And this is where they really split. For Beuys, remember, you had to do something creative to become art. That whole social or private sculpture thing. The Joblin Factory? They're like, nope, wrong. They argued that a person, what they call the human in itself, is art just by existing, period. You don't have to do a single thing.
Okay, so how do you even make art about that idea? Well, this is where things get tangible. A little strange, and frankly, pretty bizarre. Let's get into what they actually make.
Their whole game plan revolves around one single goal: to get you to recognize yourself as art. And their tools for this? They create these objects they call momentum multiples. You can just think of them as little physical nudges, tangible reminders to wake you up to this idea. And the stuff they make is, well, it's a mix. You've got the really direct stuff, right? Like their memento mirror multiples. Then you get the truly out there things like paintings and sculptures made from actual salmon. Yep, salmon. They've even got this clothing line called Flesh Art and ad books where they take regular books and turn them into one-of-a-kind art objects.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why salmon? What is that about? Well, the thinking behind their most, let's say, unusual work is all wrapped up in this quote. It starts with this: the presence of dead flesh
Makes the living flesh conscious. That's it, that's the whole idea. Their theory is when you're faced with the flesh of something that's not alive, like a preserved salmon, it forces you to become hyper-aware of your own living, breathing, pulsing flesh. And in that split second, you get it. Your body is the real art in the room. Now, these guys don't exactly hang their art in galleries. They take it straight to the people. They call them guerrilla vernissages, basically surprise pop-up art shows. They'll just show up at a huge art festival like Documenta in Germany and start handing out their mirrors, leaving mirror postcards in bathrooms, and even interacting with Beuys' own famous environmental art.
I know, this all might sound like a really weird, abstract art project. But hang on, if we actually take this idea seriously, really seriously, that every single person is a work of art, well, it has huge, real-world implications.
So let's just ask the question. What if tomorrow you walked outside and you truly, deep down, believed every single person you saw on the bus, in the grocery store, was a priceless, unique masterpiece? How would that actually change the way you see the world?
Well, their answer is that it creates a whole new ethical framework. I mean, if someone is art, you can't not treat them with unconditional respect, right? It totally reframes how we see each other, hopefully without violence or exclusion. And here's a really cool twist. The second you see the art in someone else, boom, you become an artist too. It even gets them to this wild idea of replacing human rights with art rights, arguing our dignity comes from being a priceless work of art.
And that leads us to the final, really mind-bending takeaway from all of this. It's not a choice. It's not about trying to be art or something you achieve. According to them, it's just a fundamental fact of being. You simply cannot not be art.